Did you know that fear kills the most dreams? Well, most people might have heard of this because, well, if you don't do something because you're fearful of it, and this keeps you stuck in where you're at right now, right? So most people try to go into the mindset work of like talking yourself out of the fear, how you're like, no, it's not that big deal. And I think like these tools are amazing. Like thinking about how, yeah, it's actually not that big, the fear that you're made up in your mind. But I actually feel it's much stronger to combine this mindset work of, yeah, saying to yourself, it's not that big deal to have this interview or this job interview and things like that. So it's great that you tell yourself that, but combine it with your body. Then it actually can fully dissolve from your body and you actually transform the fear into, yeah, other energies. And then you're not really fearful anymore. I actually did this with a spider phobia I had. I just felt it into my body and then suddenly after 4 weeks I had this. I wanted to go to the next level, by the way, with the spider fear. But the spider, so that I took the spider on my hand, but I just thought, oh, the spider's cute. So the fear literally dissolved from my body. And I really had, like, believe me or not, I had a spider phobia, I believe, because it was that strong. I really freaked out when I saw a spider, like, literally, like, totally freaking out. Always. I always was like, please, somebody help me. I'm, I have the spider, please. So yeah, I was really, really fearful of spiders. And when you combine it with your body, you just allow yourself to feel the emotion that's coming up. You can dissolve it. But what does most people do when we have a fear? Let's just take the example of you're going to have an exam in school. You might be an adult, but you probably remember a time like maybe a subject that you didn't, well, you weren't that great in that subject, so you had to do a lot of things to kind of pass. And so before the exam, you were like a lot of fear came up, obviously, like, oh, if I'm going to pass, I need to this because otherwise I will fail. And well, I have to like, and what's happening here is that fear triggers our thoughts and it tells us so much stories. And you might like before you take the exam, you might go to like the evening before, like they ask you, "Oh, I hear you like I know you have the math exam tomorrow. Oh, how is it going? What do you think?" And maybe you tell them a little bit of your fears, depending on your relationship. And then they go probably like, "Oh, don't worry, you'll be fine." Or you talk about it with your friends like that. And we all just deal with the fear in our mind like we talk about it, we think about it, and trying to get not rid of it, but yeah, I think the goal is to get rid of it, but obviously don't get rid of it that way. You all know this probably because you tried it in some way or the other. And so thinking actually don't gets us into our body where the fear is. Like the fear is somewhere in your body and not in your mind. It's, well, it feels like it's in your mind, right? Because we have all these thoughts of how horrible this is going to be. But it's actually in your body. And most adults really forgot and like they are so out of their body that they don't really know how to feel into their body anymore. And they only think about it in their minds. And they think they can solve it with their minds because that's what we've been told as kids, right? Like if something happened, like when we were small, you were fearful of something, And well, the parent probably said, "Oh, it's not that big of a deal. Like, oh, it's just whatever it is." So they taught you to just um, get rid of the fear by talking about it. But that's not how it works, right? So you don't really get rid of the fear by talking about because the fear is not something you talk about. Fear is an emotion, and an emotion wants to be felt. It's in your body, and that's the language of the emotion. Is just the feeling of your in of the emotion in your body, and you feel it by allowing yourself to, well, observe. So get rid of the thoughts. Well, you can use the thoughts as triggers, right? So you think about the exam that you're going to have tomorrow, and it's just like, let's use this just as a trigger of the emotion, and then observe where something comes up in your body. So for most adults, it is pretty hard work. They probably still think it's in their mind. It's not, trust me. But you just have learned not to feel it anymore. You just, well, unlearned it. So now you can learn it again. So let me give you a few examples how I feel fear. Maybe this way you can also feel into it. Of maybe think of a fear you have. Maybe you're going to have a job interview. Maybe you're going to have a talk. Maybe you're going to have a presentation at work or whatever makes you fearful. So think about something that makes you fearful and just observe your body. Get out of your mind. Observe what's coming up in your body. So for me, when I had this spider phobia, right? So I saw first time I saw this huge spider in the sink of my kitchen, and I froze. I was like, oh no, I have to go over there. I need to do something there. I have to go there. And now there's now there's a spider. And well, I went into my mind obviously. I only thought about it like how horrible it is right now that there's a spider in my sink and I can't go there because of the spider. It's there. And then I remember, wait, this is just a trigger. The spider is just a trigger of my emotion that's coming up. Okay, let me get out of my mind, get me into my body, and then I always also allow myself to let my body move how I feel like moving, but this takes maybe some practice to get used to feeling how your body wants to move. So for me, when I saw the spider, I was like, okay. So I shivered. I really shivered, like, I was so much of fear. Okay, let me just feel into this. But I didn't do it that long because I also, you know, with my breath, I can't take it that long to breathe like that. So I only did it few seconds, few minutes. I didn't look at the time, obviously, because it's easier for me to allow my body to do what it wants to do because then it kind of the energy moves quicker or the emotion. I call emotion also energy because we say like they emotion is simply energy in motion. So that's just, I also use the word energy for emotion. So I allow the energy to move by shivering or breathing differently. And for the first time, I could get rid of the spider without that much fear. And it took me over 4 weeks, with always feeling into it. Like for the spider, it was mostly like I shivered a lot, and I felt it in my chest mostly, like everything contracting and like like my breath. Oh my God, I can't breathe anymore. So that's actually pretty common for me for fear that I can't breathe. I feel like I can't breathe, and if you feel like this, please don't stop breathing. I sometimes have to remind myself, keep breathing, because that's sure how strong I feel the emotion, because I allow the emotion to be there, right? But it feels like I can't breathe because maybe something like this. But I just say to myself, keep breathing, and yeah, allow yourself to keep breathing, really. But at the same time, feel into what's coming up here. Or maybe maybe your heart starts racing because, well, you're in fear. That's also pretty common for me. And so you can either do just sit down and observe what's coming up in your body, or like I like to do the movements, right? But maybe you don't feel that at the beginning because you're just not used to it. So then you just really get into observer mode and say to yourself what you're feeling. How maybe, oh, my throat is really tight. Ah. Whatever is coming up. Oh, I think I feel my heart racing. So that's what when you say it or you think it, that stops the other thoughts that you're having around the fear, because fear tells us so many lies. It really is just lies, like spider here in Germany isn't a big of a deal. Like they are not that dangerous. So there's no really reason why I'm fearful of spiders, but I was. And so I had to feel into the emotion. And well, my mind came up with some reason why a spider is dangerous. I know it's not, but my mind just thought it is. But I know it's just lies. So I had to get out of my mind to get into my body and allowing myself to feel this. And it took me 4 weeks from freaking out. Holy crap! And I always tried to get somebody to get rid of the spider for me because I didn't want to deal with the spider. I didn't want to touch it. Didn't want to like even like if you have something to put on the spider. I even didn't want to do that because I had to get close to the spider. So after 4 weeks of using the triggers of whenever I saw a spider, I would feel into it. And then there was this one day I wanted to get to the next level and I thought I just going to put it on my hand to feel more fear, to let it more dissolve from my body, right? But the fear didn't come up at that time because I already let it go. I already felt into it so many times that I couldn't trigger I actually saw the spider in my bedroom and I couldn't trigger that much fear when I saw it. I'm like, okay, let me take it to the next level of putting it on my hand. And then it was on my hand. It was a small one that kind of jumps. And the only thing that I felt was, oh, cute. Oh, that little spider is really cute. Jumping in my hand. Oh, that's cute. So, but trust me, I really had this huge fear of spiders. Huge. Like, you can ask everyone in my family and friends. They all know this, that I don't like spiders at all. And yeah, but somehow I managed to go from, oh my God, please help me, to, hmm, cute. I really love this, how that's how powerful it is to get into your body. Allow yourself to feel the emotion. I know it doesn't feel great. That's why we don't do it, right? We don't like this feeling of fear in our body. That's why we don't do it. But allow yourself to do this work. And it actually like, well, then you can do the mindset of like, oh, the spiders are not dangerous in Germany, and so it doesn't matter if they are on my hand or whatever. You can do that later. Yeah, and then it's just like natural. It just happens naturally. It's just first feeling and then combining it maybe with a mindset of like, oh yeah, I actually can do this now. It's just more impactful. And so if you're doing this for the first time, I would suggest just feeling into the fear for a few seconds, maybe a few minutes, and just come back to it whenever you're ready, or whenever you feel like. Maybe just you can just trigger the fear with your thoughts, right? So thinking about a job interview, for example, because you're fearful of this, or the school exam, or whatever you're fearful of. Just think about what you're fearful of, and there will be something coming up in your body. It might be really subtle at the beginning because you're not used to it, but just start to observe what's coming up and then feel into it. Allow yourself to feel what's coming up and focus. Maybe it's the first time is, oh, I think something's in my throat. Like, I feel like my throat's swallowing, maybe. And then, oh, okay. Maybe then just observe what's coming up here and just tell it to yourself. Okay, this is coming up right now. Okay. And really get out of your mind. That's the most important thing, to get out of your mind. And just because the language of the emotion is the feeling in your body, it's not the thoughts. It We just think it's the thoughts, but it's not. And just do it for as long as you feel comfortable doing it. And you want to probably do it in a place where you're alone and you are actually allowed to. If this already comes up for you, like the shivering that I'm often doing, or like taking my breath, you want to be alone and not with other people, probably. So take your time and use this as an opportunity to just be alone with yourself, to feel it. And after, it most likely, like it depends on what kind of fear. I would start with a small fear. Don't, if you have a spider phobia, don't start with that one. It took me 4 weeks to have tangible results. So you want to have something less that you can actually have a result faster, that you see the results faster, so that it makes you want to do it again, so that you actually do the work to change your body and your overall how you react to the world, right? And if you're like, it's a cool thing if you're less fearful, right? So start with something small, do it for a few minutes, maybe just a few seconds, however long you feel comfortable doing it. And if you then don't feel like doing it anymore, just tell in your mind, like say it in your mind or say it out loud, something like, oh, thank you, fear, for being here, and I will take time again for you. Just now, please leave. Or thank you for the time you spent with me, and I will do it again. See you next time. Something like that. So for me, this makes it easier to get rid of the fear, like in a more natural way by saying it. Oh, see you next time, and until next time, and yeah, I will do it again. And yeah, please do it again. And if you don't do it again, fear will come up either way. You won't get rid of it, right? So it will come up either way. And I would suggest just taking a few minutes, a few seconds even is fine, to feel into this. And then, well, let's do it again. And well, if you do it for more often, maybe you train yourself to feel longer into your body, and then you can just, yeah, do it longer. Or you have your first fear that dissolves. Then you've, trust me, it will be amazing. But when the fear first time it dissolves and you do something that usually would trigger fear in you, and suddenly it doesn't trigger you anymore. That's pretty cool. So start with something small and don't think about it. It's so important that you stop thinking about whatever you think is the reason for that fear. It doesn't matter. That's not the language of the emotion. The language of the emotion is your body. So just say to yourself what you're feeling. Also, I want to do a little disclaimer. If you have some kind of mental illness, I'm not suggesting it for everyone to do this. Like if you have some kind of mental illness, it can help for some people, but it can also do the opposite for some people. If you're not, especially if you're not used to getting out of your mind, then you just think about it, and well, that makes it worse, right? So if you have some kind of mental illness, please ask your therapist if they suggest you doing this. And yeah, I wish you good luck to first feel into your fear and see it dissolve and you no longer being triggered by the same situations. Also, I have more information written down on my website, also with two other emotions, how you can feel into it and how this might come up for you. So you can learn to feel into your emotions again, like how it can feel into your in your body, so that you learn to get into your body again and feel the things that are coming up and allow yourself to change your energy and to let the emotions dissolve so you're no longer triggered by the same situations. The link is in the description, and yeah, I hope this helps you. Thanks.